All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this late Tuesday night. Another edition of Knicks Weekly, episode 54 rather. CP the franchise, Alex Rotaros in the building. On tonight's episode, we make it official tissue. The Knicks and the Cavs on a collision course in round one on the NBA playoffs. Official, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about that. We'll recap the week that was for the orange and blue. Who is in and who is out of the Knicks rotation for the playoffs? There might be some interesting revelations there that we got to talk about. Is Jalen Brunson the most improved player of the year? Let's talk about that and the disrespect that number 11 continues to get league-wide. Plus, the new NBA CBA is just about finalized. And we're going to get into some of the tidbits there and how it impacts the Knicks. So we got an action-packed show, man. Lock in. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CP the franchise, Alex Rotaros on the ones and twos once again. Knicks Weekly, episode 54. And how apropos, Al, that it is 54. Because tonight with the Nets loss and a Philly win, the 4 and 5 seeds in the East are locked. It will be Jalen Brunson leading his band of merry men in the orange and blue to Cleveland Rock City to take on the Spider Donovan Mitchell, to take on Darius Garland and the Twin Towers over there in Cleveland. Knicks versus Cleveland locked in. What we already expected, but now making it official. How do you feel, man? Just quick reaction. We only got to go into game previews. We got a lot of that to go next week. We're going to have all that planned for the people next week. Just quick reaction on that.
Yeah. I'm hyped.
Yeah.
If you're hyped, you're happy that the Knicks got the Cavs in the first round. Throw some window emojis into the chat.
Yep.
All
Let's
right.
do it. That's your thing. Let's do it.
And guess what? I'm going to go with the Rock tonight because I'm going to say, finally, we got what we wanted. This is what we wanted. This is the matchup we wanted. Okay. I want the smoke. I want all the smoke. Let's go. I want all the storylines, CP. I want all the storylines for round one. Let's go. Jalen Brunson versus Donovan Mitchell. Box office. Toe-to-toe.
Yeah.
This is what we want.
I'm hyped, man. I'm looking forward to it. You know, two talents like that. Obviously, Brunson is our guy. I've been a Spider fan before the trade. The talent that he is, he obviously took the last matchup personally because he's been on a tear. 3 straight games of 40-plus points. It's going to be box office. It's going to be box office, man. Those two guys are familiar with each other. They're friends with each other, but they are competitors. And this is going to be a great series. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what happens with Julius. Obviously, we hope number 30 comes back fresh and healthy as possible. New additions to the Knicks. I mean, quickly, the second unit, Hartenstein, my guy.
Yes, sir. Let's go, man.
Grimes popping. Grimes is activated. Who's going to be touching Quentin Grimes on the Cleveland Cavaliers? Who's guarding Quentin Grimes? I sound like I'm jumping out the window a little bit, man.
Ooh. What we need, man.
You heard that? I'm kind of hyped right now, man.
Come on, man. This is what we want, bro.
I'm kind of hyped, bro.
Look, we came in. I think JD was the closest with the score with the record prediction. He came in with 45. You have 41. I had 42.
Yeah.
Knicks are exceeding expectations. All right. We got 2 out of the 3 years we're in the playoffs. Not even going through the play-in.
Yeah.
And this team's better, man. We know this team's better than that was 2 seasons ago. Look, you upgraded all over the place. It's not Alfred Payton, it's Jalen Brunson. It's not Reggie Bullock, it's Quentin Grimes.
Yep.
It's not Nerlens Noel, it's Mitchell Robinson.
Thank God.
You still got RJ and Randall. Your bench unit is better too. Okay. It's a much improved Manuel Quickly. You got Obi Toppin, who's starting to show a little bit with extended minutes. Isaiah Hartenstein is a solid backup center.
Yeah.
It's better than Taj Gibson. Okay. And then you also got Josh Hart.
Yep.
Yo,
much better team. This is not you said Nerlens Noel, the body cast. Even though he did represent himself admirably, he fought hard and valiantly in those series. Well, we're coming in with the Block Ness Monster and Hartenstein. Put some respect on his name. You got to put some respect on his name now because he's playing a lot better. That second unit is going to be ferocious. It's going to be a battle, man. I'm very much looking forward to it.
I don't want to get too much into it because that's all going to be next week.
Yeah, we're gonna
Chris
OD.
Fedor,
We're going to OD on that next week, 100%.
Look, go check out the last game of the week preview. Also check out this week's, all right?
Yeah.
With Caitlin Cooper for the Pacers, all right? We got 2 games against the Pacers. Make sure to go get caught up on that. Drop tonight at 9 p.m. Make sure to check that out. Last week against the Cavs, what Chris Fedor did not want to discuss? The Cavs bench unit.
Yeah.
He didn't want to discuss it. He did not want to discuss it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Leave it there. I'm hyped.
I'm hyped, man. I'm absolutely hyped. And so it's left to be seen how the Knicks handled the rest of the week as they are in Indiana on Wednesday. They are in New Orleans. New Orleans is going to have something to play for on Friday and then wrap up against the Pacers at 1 o'clock on Sunday for the season finale at MSG. A 1 p.m. matinee game. Going to be very interesting to see how they approach wrapping up this season. Will they rest players? Will they rest players? You know, that's not really a Thibs type of thing. It's not really a Thibs type of thing.
Do you have the Jalen Brunson clip ready to go? Or are we gonna drop that?
Yeah, let's get right into it.
All right, man. Because
let's get right into it. Go ahead.
Play that, and we can dissect if players are gonna get rested.
All right, let's go. Let's go. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Knicks and Cavs official tissue. Let's get into it. Let me just pull up. I'm still kind of organizing my thoughts here. I was, we wrapped up the 5th seed. I was a little hyped, man. Just a little hyped. I don't know if I jumped out the window just yet, Al, but I'm a little bit hyped. All right, here's Jalen,
man. It's all good. It's all good.
Here's Jalen Brunson on the potential of rest and how they will approach the rest of the season. Here's Jalen Brunson. Oh.
Picked up injuries towards the end of the season. If you guys locked up the seed, are you kind of person who want to play out the season, or do you want to give your body a rest? Like, what's your preference?
That's a great question. That is a fantastic question, honestly. I love to play. I love to play. I think being in the rhythm is great, and that's just me. If I'm able to go out there and play, I want to play.
All right. So that is Brunson. He says if he's able to get out there and play, he wants to play. He likes to be in a rhythm. And there that is. What do you think, Al? How do you think they should approach these next 3 games?
I think you got to give – I don't think you completely rest everybody, right? I do like that idea of keeping guys in rhythm because they're going to be off the next week. So, and practice only does so much to keep you in game rhythm. So might as well give them 20, 28 minutes for whoever whoever you need, like your key guys, like Jalen Brunson. I don't want to see Jalen Brunson again anywhere north of 30 minutes, in all honesty. If you don't need it, don't do it. But I also understand that guys want to win. They want to have a good record. So it's a good balance. I think it's a good balance between 28 minutes. I would like I'm just hovering around 28 minutes, especially for someone like Jalen Brunson. You think about Grimes too. I want to make sure they get enough runs so that way they're in rhythm, especially Grimes. You don't want Grimes to not then play after he's been on a hot streak and then go next week and then he's cold, right?
Right.
So I think you still got to get your starters some solid quality minutes, but get Deuce McBride a run, man.
Yeah.
Obi Toppin should be playing. He should be getting minutes, no question. Put Jericho Sims out there, get McBride some minutes. Make sure you keep Josh Hart healthy because of the ankle scare, right?
Right.
So just figuring it out between who your key guys are. So I'm looking at Brunson. I'm looking at Mitch. I'm looking at Grimes. RJ. And Quick. Those guys, you got to manage the minutes properly. Especially if you know guys, someone like Mitch, Brunson, who's missed time before. Grimes last season has missed time. Those are the guys I'm looking at to make sure they're getting minutes just to stay in rhythm, but not too much where we're going to start questioning or just the potential of a risk factor.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. How they manage this will be tricky. because, as you said, they will have a week off, just about, right? Depending on if the game 1 starts Saturday the 15th or Sunday the 16th, they could have up to a week off from the season finale on April 9th.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good for Julius to rehab his ankle, even though how will he play in a game 1 when he's ice cold, coming off of an ankle? How much of a ramp up will he need? I think that's going to be left to be seen. I think you still have to play some of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, to keep them in a rhythm. You don't want to just sit Brunson, but limit his minutes. You're going up against the Pacers twice, who their tank is in full speed. No Halliburton, no Miles Turner. They're resting guys. You keep Brunson out there, maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Let him stay loose. And then you bring in a McBride. You bring in a Rose. You bring in a Fournier. Get Grimes and RJ some rest, right? You get quickly some rest. How's Hart's ankle doing? Get your full squad involved, right? But I don't think you just go straight B team to start it off.
Nah, I think that you don't do that.
Yeah,
especially since guys have already missed time. Like, I wouldn't be worried about Brunson having to get back into rhythm. We saw against the Nuggets can get back into rhythm. We saw
he's fine.
It took 2 games.
And
next thing you know, against the Cavs, he's like, yo, I'm ready. Let's go. I'll go toe to toe with anybody. But guys like Grimes is more who I'm concerned about. RJ, I want RJ to be in rhythm coming into the playoffs too. He's been up and down this season. Yeah, those are probably the 2 guys, and Mitch, obviously Mitch. You need Mitch.
I would say he's the one player who I would say they don't need him ramping up or in rhythm. Mitch's job is to get out there, protect the rim, play pick and roll defense. You don't need him hot. You could rest. I would say rest Mitch and go with Jericho and Hartenstein. Straight up. I don't see the need to even play Mitch 1 minute this week. I would rest him.
I agree with that.
Get his mind right. Let him go home, chill with the family, do whatever you need to do to get his family situation going on. Get comfortable there. Meet us in Cleveland. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get Jumpman Sims. You get Hartenstein out there, and away you go.
I agree with that because every single time Mitch is out there, he's going 120%.
Yeah. And every time he takes a spill, you're holding your breath. Every fall.
Yeah. It's amazing that we made it to close to 82 games and we're still going.
Right. Yeah. So I think Mitch is the one guy I think they should definitely just let him chill because he's good. He'll bounce back and he'll be fine. But Thibs is a guy, he's old school like a Tom Coughlin was with the Giants. When the Giants back when they were on their playoff run and they clinched, Coughlin wanted to play this thing out. Week 17, everybody's playing. It's full strength because he wanted that momentum going into the playoffs. And I think Thibs is going to be the same way. Maybe not, 40 minutes.
Right.
But he's still going to play guys. He's still going to play guys. So
that'd be interesting. Yeah. I don't know why it popped in my head. It'd just be an interesting, I feel like, lunch gathering with Thibs and Coughlin.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the old school days? Oh, I hate this whole resting junk.
Right. I'm sure they would have a lot to talk about, man. I'm sure they would have a lot to talk about. Shout out to Thibs. Shout out to Coach Coughlin for sure. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Official Knicks versus Cavs official, man. How you guys feel? You hit us up on the Knicks Fan TV Discord. We'll keep the Discord open tonight. No phones tonight as we get through this program. CP and Alex on the 1s and 2s. Knicks in Cleveland on a collision course. Either Saturday the 15th, Sunday the 16th. And lots to go on Knicks Fan TV. Make sure you keep it locked. The number one show for the fans by the fans, because we will be locked and loaded with premium content that nobody else is giving you, man. So make sure that you guys lock into that. Shout out to Nikita A. Welcome to the franchise channel memberships. Nikita A has just joined, and we definitely definitely appreciate the support. What else we got going on now? Knicks did go 4-0 on the week. All right, good job by them. They did go 4-0 on the week by defeating the Rockets pretty handily. Then they had 2 tests, back-to-back playoff caliber matchups against the Heat. They passed that test at home, then went to Cleveland. Brunson's 48-point heroics got him the win without Julius. They did lose Julius in the Miami game. Brunson put on for the city in the Cleveland game. Got out of there with an impressive win. Solid defense down the stretch. And yeah, it was a good week. And then they finished it off with a win over a depleted Wizards team. What were your takes on the week?
Well, they beat my prediction of 2-2, so I'm happy about that. Awesome, because this team was struggling, man. They were on a 3-game losing streak, especially when they lost to Miami the previous week, right? And you wanted to see this team bounce back, get into some sort of rhythm once again, close the season strong, especially when you got the Cleveland Cavaliers now coming up. That's your solidified opponent, round 1. So seeing them, and it's not just them winning, right? It's how they won. It's Julius goes down, Obi, Grimes, IQ, Brunson, everybody is stepping up. Mitch has been playing well. You're seeing both of your centers playing well at this point. Mitch is still having like close, if not a double-double, close to a double-double on some nights.
Yeah.
With Isaiah Hartenstein still providing some not only good defense, but solid offense as well.
Right.
And now you're starting to see the versatility of this team with everyone stepping up. Obviously, you want to see what it looks like when Julius comes back, and you need Julius for the playoffs. But it's also giving a good look for Tom Thibodeau saying, okay, who will be in my rotation moving forward? And so this week, even though the Julius news is saddening, hopefully he's ready week 2 in 2 weeks, man. Game 1 against the Cavs. You at least hope that he's like 75, 80% ready to go. But I thought it was a solid week just because everyone stepped up. You learned something about the depth of this team and that guys can step up when needed, when their number's called. And everyone's playing at a high level right now, getting to the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. Once Julius went down, this was a good week for the rest of the roster, the OBs, some of the supporting cast to get a meaningful experience. Especially, I thought the Heat and the Cleveland games, the Cleveland game especially, because this is a team that you're going to face again, going on the road and facing off against that Cleveland team. I thought that was meaningful minutes, meaningful experience for a lot of the younger players. It was good experience for Obi. I thought Obi had a pretty good week as well. So, those were good. You had in the Heat game, remember that game was finished by quickly Grimes, you had RJ out there, Hart. A smaller lineup out there that finished that game without Julius playing 12 minutes. Those were significant minutes there by those guys. So
yeah,
good job there. And as you said, hey, playoff rotation, according to our guy Ian Begley, the playoff rotation may not be set yet. So this last week, and I think this week will provide some answers for Tom Thibodeau in terms of how he's going to look to play in this Cleveland series.
CP, do you think that it's not set because he's either going to stick with the same 9-man rotation or he's going down to 8? Because if it's the 9-man rotation, there's nothing really to calculate about, right? But if it's going down to 8, you're thinking about who's ready, who you want to play the most minutes, right? This is where guys are going to start playing 40 minutes on a nightly basis, like 38, 39, 40 minutes. That's where you're going to need your top dogs to show why you're the top dog, why they're the top dogs, why they're getting paid the big bucks. So you're looking at RJ, Randall, Brunson. I'm just curious, when I hear that, is it because there ain't no way he's extending it to 10. That makes no sense for the playoffs. That's just like too much to handle in the playoffs.
Right.
Understood it 2 seasons ago, just because he had some youth on the bench, guys who were inconsistent in a lot of the positions, didn't really have a lot of versatility, but now it's different. So for me, like if I'm looking at this rotation, if it's 8, it's obviously your 5 stars you got, right? Brunson, RJ, Randall, Grimes, Mitch. But then if he's going to shorten it to 8, then to me, it's just quickly Hart and Hartenstein. I guess the thing I'm going to ask you, do you think Obi makes this cut?
I think it depends. It depends on the health of Julius. That was going to be my next question.
Yeah. Is this look also based on Julius's health?
I think it depends on his health, because as Begley puts here in his article, salute to our guy Ian Begley, salute to SNY, he says, one interesting note about this final stretch of the regular season. Before the Randall injury, the playoff rotation wasn't set in stone in the eyes of the coaching staff. Prior to the Randall injury, the staff was still evaluating players both in and out of the current rotation, i.e. McBride, to determine the best group for the postseason. It's fair to assume that the evaluation will continue over the final 4 games. That's what our guy Ian Begley said. That was prior to Julius' injury. So if he's still banged up and he's not necessarily ready to go, I can't see on a sprained ankle. Guys sprain ankles in the middle of a game and come back and play. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think Julius will be fine and be ready to go game 1 after this extended time off. I think he'll be fine. But let's say it's a bad sprain and he needs some time to come back and get back up to speed. Then I think, you will see Obi in that rotation. I think it will be 9. But I have a feeling from what we saw last Friday in Cleveland with Hart playing small ball 4, I have a feeling he could go back to that and it could be 8. I think you're looking at a quick Hartenstein rotation if Julius is back up to speed come game 1. I think he could go that route.
My only concern with Hart at the 4 against Cleveland is that Mobley will be out there and Jared Allen will be out there.
Yeah.
This is not a team where there's teams where I'm okay to experimenting with small ball. Cleveland's not that team. So I guess if that's the case, I would hope Obi's in there.
Yeah.
And I know Obi's not the greatest defender, but I don't think he's a complete wash as that he gets this title at sometimes. Like even against the Wizards, and I know people are saying that's a G League team and all that type of stuff. I don't really buy that label just because a G League team wouldn't keep up with the Knicks if it was truly a G League team, in my opinion. But regardless, you saw some good defensive plays where he got the steal, at his block. You know what I mean? Like I think his rotations could be a little bit crispier, but I don't think he's that far off for being a defensive presence. But I'm just thinking like height wise, like I know Hart's strong, but you're talking about a 6'5" guy guarding damn near a 7-footer.
Yeah.
That's just a mismatch all day long.
Yeah.
No matter.
I think that would be tough. Mobley's aggressiveness is kind of inconsistent. And I also think that Obi plays small. He doesn't have a knack for the ball. He doesn't play aggressive on the boards. I get it, though. Size-wise, they would still be at a disadvantage either way, right? But with Hart, he just kind of gives you that ruggedness and that aggressiveness that, hey, maybe Thibs might see what happens. And if he gets overmatched out there, you could always get Obi in there. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's going to be in street clothes. I just think that if you're going to tighten up the rotation, to me, that would be the most likely move. Because you know Quick's importance. You know Hart's locked. And you know Hartenstein is locked. You need your backup 5.
Right.
And so maybe there are scenarios in this game where you don't even have a Hart on a Mobley for that long before you bring Julius back in there. That's what I'm saying. It all depends on Julius's health.
I think if Julius was healthy, I could see that right away going down to 8.
Right.
I feel like I could totally see that. Just because Randall's the guy who's, look, if he didn't get injured, he's going to be playing all 82.
Yeah.
Like that's his mentality, right? And he plays 38, 39 minutes on a regular basis. So that wouldn't shock me that, all right, we're going to get Randall 4 minutes of rest, and he's going to go back out there to go against Mobley just because the physicality and Mobley, as you mentioned, isn't that aggressive. But my concern, as I already said, it's just height wise, man. Like you're going to have Mobley. He's a decent enough shooter where you can't even get a hand in his face if you're Josh Hart.
Right.
So that's my concern. Like, don't make it easy, like too easy, right?
Yeah.
That's all my thing.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, man. But certainly some interesting questions for Thibs to decide on because he isn't the guy that relies on small ball, right? He does like size. He does like to match up. He does like to play big and most times. I'm just curious to see how he used, because Hart, that's his wild card, man. Thibs loves Hart. You know what I'm saying? That's his wild card. So as you look and see how playoff rotations get shorter and minutes increase for your key guys, I'm just curious to see how he gets Hart involved there, because you're going to want his defense, his physical play, his knack for the ball, his rebounding. Yeah. You know, he's not going to be out for too long of a stretch in this series.
He's closing. There's no way he's not closing.
Yeah, right.
There's no way he's not closing. No, right. I agree with that. Look, you traded a first-round pick for this guy. As soon as he got here, he was closing games.
Yeah.
But no, I totally 100% agree that you need Hart's. What he brings to the court, man. It's not just even though we keep saying that you can't look at the box score is immaculate every time I watch it, because he's padding each and every category for something. And then it's like diving for loose balls, just diving into the stands, stuff like that. Being the aggressor, getting in someone's head. Mm-hmm. That's stuff that you need him out there on the court for, because it's going to get down to the point where we may see a Josh Hart on Donovan Mitchell, and he may just be doing that for a couple of stints just to bother the living daylights out of him.
True story. True story, man. Oof, man. You know, that's the one thing that scares me. We'll get into that series a little bit later, but man, like, Spider's just one of those guys like that can rip off 10 straight. Go crazy.
But we got a guy who can do the same.
What? That's true. But it's like Spider-Man. He's that guy where it's like you bottle everybody up in this series or in a game, and it's a tight game, and then a Spider 10-0 run by himself could turn things. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Once again, we got a guy who did that too out against Utah last season.
That's right.
We got that preview, man. That's why I'm excited to see that matchup, because we finally have someone that can go toe to toe. Yeah.
Finally, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Shout out to Benji, who just joined the channel, the franchise channel membership. Shout out to Benji. Salute to you. $5 super chat from Marlon Ragland says, we need Randall, but the good of Randall, because each game he has played, the Cavs, his plus minus was a negative. Yeah, we need Julius. We definitely need Julius. No question about it. Salute. Now, some people also think, Al, that the Knicks playing on the road is a great thing. Starting on the road. Nobody wanted game one to be at MSG.
No.
In the playoffs.
Nope.
So
I'm one of those people.
Hey, you know what? I think, best case scenario, you could split the series. You come home, MSG's rocking. Maybe that's the energy and the momentum that you need, rather than starting at MSG in game one, nerves, just like it was in the Hawks series, and then things get a little chaotic. But here was Thibs. Thibs was asked about the Knicks starting on the road, and here is what he had to say. This is courtesy of SNY Video. Salute to everybody in the chat.
Is there a party that says, hey, we're kind of comfortable not having the home court advantage in the playoffs?
No, I think just, whether you're home or road, I think you have to look at, okay, what's the challenge that's in front of us, and prepare yourself for that challenge. And obviously there's advantages to being at home where, whatever you want to say, you're in your own bed, it's your fans, it's your arena, all those things. And then if you're on the road, you try to take advantage of it a different way, where you're more isolated. So there's less distractions, and you can lock in that way. So whatever the situation is, make the most of it to prepare yourself the best that you can.
All right. There's your typical Thibs answer. But a good one. Says, hey, you got to prepare either way. But as you said, Al, you know, we have the guy in a Brunson that if you're going to be on the road in hostile territory, this is where having your point guard and having a point guard that is poised and steady, that's where it's going to benefit the Knicks, where it didn't in the last one. No offense to Peyton and the Peyton Hive out there, but this is where they were a couple Peyton fans back last year, 2 years ago. Go through the tapes. We had some Peyton fans calling in, but you know, this is where having him is going to really benefit this team, especially when you're starting off game one on the road.
Yeah. Look.
Yeah.
When I look at this series starting off, we discussed this, right? This is a successful season right now for the Knicks. You already exceeded the 38.5, 39.5 odds that Vegas had out for you. You already did that. Mm-hmm. You win one game this week. We're talking about 47 wins on the season for the Knicks. Mm-hmm. So the pace has been on a 50-win type streak after the 9-man rotation. You and I discussed if this becomes a competitive 7-game series, right? We're not talking about getting washed. We're not talking about a gentleman's sweep. If this is a competitive 7-game series, we're talking about it comes down to 1 to 4 points, right? In that range. Mm-hmm. That's still some success because you get to get your other guys some playoff experience that weren't here before, and you get to evaluate what you need the next season to make that jump. I'm looking at this pressure all on the Cavs, and here's why. They got the home court advantage. You got home court advantage, you should be expected to win because you have home court advantage. They traded for Donovan Mitchell. You traded Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton, Agbaji, first rounders, pick swaps. You're saying that this is now you're all in, right? Mm-hmm. Chris Fedor, once again, on the last week's Game of the Week preview, his quote was, "Why not us this season? Why not? Why can't it be the Cavs right now? Be considered top 4, compete, maybe go all the way. Why not us? We got the talent." And they do got talent. If you're the Knicks, you're coming in once again, house money. Right? So them being on the road, Cavs got to win game 1, in my opinion. Because if you lose game 1, Knicks are now just confident. This team has been a better road team. I know some believe that this team is bad at home, although we're 23-17, so we're not a terrible home team anymore. Mm-hmm. But the pressure playing in Madison Square Garden, guys typically get up for playing in the Garden. Save that for game 3. If you steal one game on the road, you're the Knicks, that's a big confidence boost right there, especially against a Donovan Mitchell-led team, a guy who on Utah, I don't believe he's gotten past the second round in his entire career, right? Mm-hmm. So you're looking at him on the Cavs and you're saying, all right, we invested all this guy for you to be the guy now, to put us in this primo position. I look at it as the pressure's on them, with the Knicks being the away team. They can play loose. They can play confident. They like playing on the road. I think for Thibs, you have them more focused, So that's how I'm looking at week 1.
I like that. Man. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CP and Alex on the 1s and 2s, man. Next weekly episode 54 presented by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. Use promo code KFTV for 20% off plus free shipping. We are also looking at things going on around the league and my NBA TV. This NBA TV is all over the place. I'm watching NBA TV and they've got games on from a complete different day and highlights and scores. So I don't know what's going on with NBA TV. So this is not a reliable source tonight. But the Nets did lose, Philly did win, and so the Knicks have clinched 5. Cleveland is clinch 4. We have a 5-4 matchup. Now, we're also looking at the tankathon as well, right? We're also seeing if the Knicks can get a draft pick naturally through the draft, and that is by way of the Dallas pick, which is a top 10 protected pick in the first round. The Dallas tank has been formidable. Luka Doncic has said that he plans to play as long as he's available, and that he misses Jalen Brunson. But the he did say that. Now, the Mavs have lost 3 in a row.
Oh, man.
The Mavs have lost 3 in a row, and so we're looking for a little bit of help because we can't rely on them. Their team sucks. They're soft. The Bulls have lost to the Hawks, right?
Yep.
So the Bulls right now are number 11, and you have OKC number 12, or is it the other way around? Let's check it out. Let's check this thing out here. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. Now, I don't know if these standings have been updated. So you have Dallas at 10, lost 3 in a row. You have OKC in 11. Now, OKC is playing the Warriors, and that game, so I think somebody in the chat said that the Warriors are losing by 4. So OKC's up by 4.
It's 86-78 right now, OKC, with 9 minutes to go in the third.
86-78. Okay. Plenty of time. Okay, so we'll check back in on that game later. But the Bulls did lose to the Hawks, so that's good. I don't know if Tankathon has these standings updated. Oh, they do. Because they were, I believe, 1.5 in back of Dallas. I think this is updated. I'm not
This
so
looks
sure.
updated.
This looks updated. Now they're 1 game back at Dallas, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But either way, we're looking for Dallas to come back down to 11-12 because right now they're in 10th, and with in this 10th spot, they have a 69% chance of keeping that pick at 10, which means the Knicks won't get that pick, but they still do have about a 20% chance of falling to 11 or remotely 12, and then the Knicks would get that pick. So we're keeping an eye out on that as well. All right. Yeah, I don't know what NBA TV has on right now, but these are not tonight's games. I'll tell you that. So to everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CP and Alex on the 1s and 2s. Another question that has been kind of tossed around the league, and I touched on it on today's Bleacher Report Q&A. Brunson MIP, Al. Where do you stand on the Brunson most improved player talk? Your take.
He should be most improved player, in my opinion.
Okay.
Look, you got Lauri Markkanen on the Utah Jazz. I get that he's improved as a player individually, but if you're looking at a win-loss record, they're 36-42.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, the West isn't that competitive where that team couldn't be in a plan. Now, I know they've dealt with injuries with like Jordan Clarkson and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you traded Mike Conley as well. You really shook things up on the team. I get it. I understand it's an individual award, but I also look to where they are as a team, like if they're winning, right?
Mm-hmm.
I then look at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. OKC. That's a good argument. They're right now in the plan 10, considering they've been a tanking team for many years. He's put on quite a performance, man. I mean, the numbers he's averaging are just
incredible,
bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it just screams superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Where the way he's performing.
Mm-hmm.
I look at Brunson though, and you were considered. I think there were some questions about Brunson, right? He's paid as 15th, like the 15th best point guard in the league.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay, so he's average. Can he really improve a team that much? And he gets to the Knicks and look, once again, 38.5, 39.5, whatever that odds were. You have 46 wins. This team's different. They're a top 10 offensive team. They're a top defensive team.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the top players in isolation scoring.
Mm-hmm.
It goes beyond the numbers as well. He's been a leader. Composure for this team is just different. He's the extension of Tom Thibodeau when it comes to the play on the court, the mindset, the mentality, the stoic nature that he brings. I think you got to include that intangible to what he's done to consider him as most improved player. because outside of that, like, why wouldn't you want to give it to somebody who's shown that they're a winning player, right? And not only did he increase his numbers, not only did he increase the volume from his 3-point attempts and still maintain and even improved his 3-point percentage, right? He's shooting 40%. He's improved as a player all around. So if you see even that marginal improvement, you're leading a team into the playoffs. Why shouldn't he be considered for most improved or be like between the 1 and 2? If you're going to say to me who you're going to choose between, I get Lauri Markkanen. Sure. It's got to be SGA and Brunson.
Yeah, that's my take. I just think I think Markkanen will still win because I think a lot of times the voters will take the jump in stats as I think they'll weigh more heavily on the jump in stats. And if you look at it that way, Markkanen has had the biggest jump, right? He's had the biggest jump in points per game, a lot of statistics, rebounds. He's having a great year. He made an all-star team. He's looking like, FIBA Markkanen when he was playing for Finland. He's nice. He's nice again.
Yeah.
He made a big rebound. Give credit to him. But for me personally, I do think impact has to weigh into it and where your team is. And Brunson has taken this team that has not made the playoffs, did not make the playoffs last year. They have almost won more than 10 more games than they did last year. You figure that they should pick up at least one win this week, maybe two over the Pacers, which will bring them from 37 to at least 47. To me, he was an all-star in his own right. Only 12 guys make it. To me, he was an all-star caliber player, and he has his team in the 5th seed in the East. To me, you've got to be able to factor both of those things, put both of those things into consideration. I just feel like, they will take more of the stat jump and lean Markkanen. But Markkanen's team is in 12th right now. Remember when everybody was feeling the Jazz? Oh, the Jazz, they're great. Will Hardy's amazing, and they're doing all this without Spider and Gobert. Listen, the NBA teams, they do that all the time in the first half. They eventually come back to life because they don't have enough talent. Not about the coach. They don't have enough talent. And Markkanen was a good player, but it wasn't enough to carry his team. I think Brunson should be in consideration if you're putting impact on winning on top of that.
I think you should. I mean, in the past, like we've seen, like Brandon Ingram, Pelicans weren't a winning team, but he got most improved. I just think you got to include it, man. Like I look at some of the guys who have gotten in the past: Giannis Antetokounmpo, Victor Oladipo. Even Julius Randle. John Morant's just a strange one. I don't even know why he won it. Pascal Siakam. You look at CJ McCollum, Jimmy Butler. Even when Goran Dragic won it, the Suns were so close to making the playoffs. They won 48 games that year. And so I was like, okay, he's still, like, you're talking about still a winning player. But Paul George, there's guys who won it. They're like, makes sense, you know? And they lead to winning.
Yeah. Agreed, man. And so now you have a situation where you might have Brunson get snubbed for All-Star, no most improved, and he probably won't even make All-NBA.
Criminal.
There's a good chance he won't even make All-NBA. And look, there's financial incentives for that. You could give him a little bit of a bag. He came here, he's already getting underpaid. It's tough loss, tough break, man. Tough break for as much as he does with this team. Tough
criminal, man.
Yeah.
What is going on?
It's crazy.
They can't see the Knicks shining, man, with 2 All-Stars, 2 All-NBA players.
Haters, man. Haters.
We got to include the small markets.
Yeah. Speaking of marketing, Lakers and Jazz in overtime. Lakers up by 1 with 38 seconds left. NBA TV did get back on track as they were showing some like wild old stuff like just before that. So they are back on track, and Lakers up by 1. Jazz, Western Conference playoffs still yet to be determined seeding wise. Al, who's your player of the week this week?
Woo. Player of the week.
Yeah.
It's so tough, man, because there's a lot. Knicks had some really good performances this past week. Like you look at Manuel Quickley, you look at Quentin Grimes, you look at Jalen Brunson. I understand why Jalen Brunson should get it. He had a 48-point performance against Donovan Mitchell. I think that game alone will seal it for everybody. And rightfully so. But I would just give some shine to my guy Grimes, man. I would just give some shine.
I like how you think, man.
I would just give some shine to him, man, because he has bounced back and been critical for a lot of these games too. And I feel like Brunson, you can give Brunson the entire season award for like player of the week. Man.
Right.
We can just do a player of the year award, give it to Brunson, call it a day, but give it to Grimes, man.
Yeah. I like how you think, man. And you know what? We did do a poll. The fans on YouTube and on Twitter did vote for Brunson. But you're right, man. We gave Brunson this award multiple times this year. We could have gave it to him all year. We're going to show some love to the Grimes Hive this week because my man is absolutely on fire. Do not sleep on what Quentin Grimes has been able to get done this past week, ladies and gentlemen, because he's been absolutely on fire, having the best stretch of his career without question. Over the last 6 games, forget about this week, over the last 6 games, Quentin Grimes averaging 20.8 points per game, 4.8 boards, 4 assists, 1.2 steals, 4.8 threes made on 50% shooting from behind the arc. He's shooting 29 of 58 in his last 6 games. But if we're going off of this week alone, Grimes is he's averaging 19.5, 5 boards, 4 assists, 50% from the floor, and 47% from downtown, plus 1 steal. Plus 1 steal. So we're going to put some respect on the Grimes Hive name tonight because we haven't showed him enough love this season. Oh man, the Cam Hive tried to tell you, and I'm sorry, I'm digging up old wounds here, but man, it many moons ago the Cam Hive tried to tell you, oh man, forget about Grimes, it's all about Cam. Listen, man,
truly running through the 6 with their woes.
That's right. No, look, it's good to see Grimes playing this way. You hope that he carries it forward into the playoffs. His role is going to be very important. Number one, he is going to have the primary duties on Donovan Mitchell. He's going to have to be very disciplined, right? He's going to have to be very disciplined. Because if I'm not mistaken, did he not get into foul trouble in that game on Friday against Spider? You got to go back and check that. I don't remember. But he's going to have a tough, Spider was just giving him the business in that first matchup. So he's going to have a tough draw defensively, and then offensively, you just hope that he's able to stay aggressive, that they go to him, and that he can knock down those Jays, man. His role is going to be very important.
You only had 2 personal fouls.
Yeah. No, it wasn't the foul trouble, but obviously Spider was cooking him up.
Yeah, no. It was just that. Quarter. I mean, that's just tough, man. Look, there's some guys that you ask to guard. It's like asking Grimes to guard Tatum or Brown. Right. Make sure you don't get they don't get 40. All right, if they get 28, thank you.
Right.
No, you just try to get. There's guys that you say lock them down, and then there's guys that you say just contain them. All right, make it difficult. And for guys like Donovan Mitchell, just make it difficult. See, if he's going to go off for 28 points, make it the hardest 28 points he's ever gotten in his life. Yeah. Don't give him the green light to go get 40.
Right. Which he's been doing for 3 straight games. so after Brunson cooked him up, he took that one personal. But yeah, Grimes is going to have a tough matchup. And according to B-Ball Index, he in the league, with the highest matchup difficulty in the league is Quentin Grimes. So he will play an important role as the Knicks look to take on the Cavs in the first round. But shout out to the Grimes Hive. Yes, we have obstructed the poll. We interfered with the poll. Yes, this is a people's show. We like to give the people what they want. But Brunson wins the award every week. He could win the award every week.
Actually, he could actually win the award every week.
Yeah.
You think of a new reason. Well, the leadership that he didn't have a good game, but the leadership this week.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Shout out to Scott Morgan, $50 super chat. Scott, appreciate the support. He says, what do you think Grimes' ceiling is? What do you think Grimes' ceiling is, man?
That's tough.
Yeah.
He's already reached his floor in year 2.
Very high.
It was a very high ceiling. I mean, we discussed this on a weekly not too long ago, and I was going through some tapes and research on him because he was supposed to be in that 2019 draft with RJ, Cam, and all of them, and he was considered a top 5, top 6 recruit.
Yeah.
He didn't have a good outing at Kansas, and then that's why he transferred over to Houston and carried that team. So I would say it's pretty high. I mean, I'm not trying to jump out the window just because it's just so hard for player projections and what they can do because there's a lot behind the scenes that we don't know, like work ethic, stuff like that, where they see themselves, like, do they see themselves as like a number 1 option or where they want to be as a career, also based on the team and fit and everything, just to give them that type of shine. But I wouldn't be surprised if you told me that if he's here for like 4 years and he's been working behind the scenes and he's just limited to a 3-and-D role because he's here based on who's here with him, like talk about Brunson, Randall, and so forth. I wouldn't be surprised if he left and had a Mikal Bridges type outing on another team.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And John Doe in the chat says book. But yeah, like he won't be book here.
That's who he said he likes, though. That's who, I feel like if I remember not too long ago, that's a game that he like said like Book's game is like not too far or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, but that's a guy that he referenced.
Yeah, Book, or even Clay, man. Like I don't yet see him just being a shot creator, especially on this team. I still see him being that complimentary floor spacer, 3-and-D guy. And yes, he's shown flashes of playmaking. He's shown flashes of putting that ball on the floor. We saw it from Summer League on. He's kind of giving you those flashes that he can do it. But I'm just not sure he's a guy that you give the ball to and let him go out there and create. Let him go out there and create for himself. We haven't seen enough in the intermediate range. When he's attacking closeouts, he's going straight to the hole. He's trying to get to the bucket or he's trying to pass off of that. But we haven't seen any any stop and pops in the mid range. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Or
that's year 3, man.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what I'm looking for, year 3.
Yeah, maybe that is year 3.
But and I see Jared De Jesus saying Desmond Bain. That's also who JD mentioned. JD's also mentioned Desmond Bain, like a Desmond Bain type. Bain
is definitely taking a big leap.
Yep. I think for Grimes, I know we're getting sidetracked with Grimes right now. If he is going to be on year 3, man, it's going to be seeing that shot creation that you're talking about. And I think he's trying to do a little bit of it. When you start to see the behind the dribble where he puts the ball on the deck, you're starting to see some sort of confidence. But he's truly just embodied staying true to what he's good at right now, which is shooting, driving, stuff like that. That comes with adding more layers to the game. We'll see if he can. If he gets a shot creation game, that's immense. But for him to show that type of stuff off means he also needs the volume to do that, the usage. So if you're going to give that type of look, that means somebody else has to lose some of those touches.
Yeah. Anthony,
that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah. Anthony says, shout out Anthony Paschal. He says, a better ball handler than Clay or Book and a better passer. Yes, that is true. But, from a shot creation standpoint, those guys are elite. That's why I want to see Grimes take his game. But I just don't know, like in this lineup with a Brunson and a Julius and an RJ, will he get that chance? There's only one ball to go around. Everybody's got to play their role. Everybody can't be that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and CP, that's where it's like, where does this team stand, right? Where does the front office stand on all of these guys? Because if you did make that trade for Donovan Mitchell, right? And you you get Donovan Mitchell here, say you traded RJ quickly, you have Donovan Mitchell, Brunson, and Randall. He's not getting that opportunity. You maybe get some like 6-man opportunity potentially,
Right.
but that's all like for this team moving forward for the next season. Like, who do you think will take that next jump? And that's truly being dedicated to the guys they have on this roster, right? So you'd have to going into the offseason, okay, we want to go give Grimes a shot. We don't want to inhibit whatever he's going to add this offseason. So let's make sure that free agent is going to be some sort of low usage role player because we're going to give him that type of promotion.
Yeah, true story. And I think that all depends on who's here next year. Because that's a big question.
This playoffs is going to tell us a lot, man.
Playoffs is going to tell you a lot about where this team is and where they're going to go. Because I can guarantee you this won't be the same roster next year.
Nope. I agree.
I can guarantee you. So, but time will tell. Time will tell, man. But right now, you definitely like the way Grimes is playing. And you just hope that he can stay aggressive because that certainly opens things up, especially in the starting five and then this team as a whole, a team that struggles to find efficiency in their offense, despite the offense still being good, man, because this team, since Thibs made that trade, since Thibs made that rotation change, this team is still third in the NBA in offensive rating. So somehow they get it done. Somehow they get it done. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Knicks Weekly, episode 53 on display. Let's get it popping, man. Let's hear from some people real quick before we touch on the CBA real quick. Omar from the Bronx on the Discord. Omar, can you hear us?
Hey, you guys can hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. How you feeling, bro?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Good.
Great show as always.
Thank you.
Listen, man, I'm excited for these playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you this much, though. I think starting off on the road, like I said earlier, I called in a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for this team, man, especially for somebody like a Julius. You get your feet wet in the playoffs, right? You get it going in Cleveland. If you can steal a game there, confidence is sky high. You come back to the Garden, and you have some type of experience in the playoffs. Because when we played against the Hawks a couple years ago, you could just see it in their faces. I'm not worried about Brunson. He's not going to be nervous, but you saw it, man. Those first couple possessions with Randall and RJ, they look a little shook out there.
Yeah.
I know they had that experience a couple years ago. Maybe it won't happen again this year, but I can't bank on that. And to that point, honestly, when it comes, this playoffs can be very telling. Depending on what RJ and Randall do this playoffs, it's going to dictate what this organization does in the summer.
Yes.
Because we eventually got to make a move on one of those guys.
Yeah.
Because and the one I think that's under more pressure, honestly, is RJ.
Yes.
Because Randall, at least he's going to give you something. You can't tell me a 2-time All-Star is under less pressure than somebody like RJ, who's regressed severely this season.
Yeah.
Defensively, he's taken a step back. Offensively, he hasn't taken a step back, but he just hasn't improved at all. It's the same game that he's had for the past 4 years.
Yeah.
And to be quite frank, I don't mean to make this a RJ hate train type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But he is honestly the weak link on this team. I can't think of another player on this team that is a defensive liability like RJ is at this point. Maybe it was Hartenstein earlier in the season, but he's become one of our best defenders right now. He's improved. RJ right now, I think, hopefully he could turn up on the playoffs. You never know. If he does that, we're having a completely separate conversation. But the past couple games, even something subtle, like he hasn't thrown an accurate alley-oop pass at all in the past couple games. I don't know if you guys noticed that. It's always way off target. When he's getting the ball, he's a one-man fast break in a bad way, like the opposite of Hart. He's just literally putting the blinders on, going straight to the rim, and that's deflating for teammates. We got to understand the psychology of that. When you have a player on your team and as soon as he gets the ball, he's barely ever going to make the right play. They get less motivated. A guy like Grimes is like, I'm not going to get the pass anyway. It'll kind of unmotivate them to run the floor with him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I'll end on this. These past couple games, everybody's talking about, Randall's not there, so the ball's moving more freely. That last game against the Wizards, I think Grimes and Quickly and all of them, it was, of course, RJ wasn't out there. You don't got a guy that's taking the ball and just literally, holding it and then just driving straight to the lane. It's kind of very similar to what Julius used to do the first year he was in New York, where it's just Tasmanian Devil, get the ball, spin, and just kind of throw up a shot. Or, expect a foul call or something like that. Nobody wants to play with somebody like that. So I hope RJ gets better. He's a homegrown talent. You want to see him be a part of this team for the long run. But if we don't see some type of production, I'm not saying he has to be the star, but if we don't see some type of production in the playoffs, you got to make a move. Thanks for taking my call.
Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. Yeah, look, I think the pressure will be on both these guys. The pressure is definitely on Julius, and the pressure will be on Julius to exercise his demons from 2 years ago. Plus, he's gonna be coming back from an ankle injury. It's gonna be tough to get Julius back into the swing of things. So it'll be left to be seen how he performs in game one. But with the RJ situation, because of how this team has performed this year, expectations are always going to increase when you show them something. Just like in the 2021 season, when they won the 41 games or however many games they won, made the playoffs, expectations was improve the team, help Julius to get back at the Hawks and be better. They tried to do that, they flopped. This is going to be the same after this season. After this playoffs, wherever they finish, expectations is going to be, okay, how do we improve on that and move it up again? You got Brunson. You got a beast in Brunson. Randall's an all-star. You got Hart. You know they're going to keep Hart. You know they're going to re-sign Quickly. Quickly's going to be here. So the question is, how are they going to move up and upgrade from there? I don't think it's necessarily that RJ's the weak link. I just think that he could be in tandem with Obi, the pieces in tandem with draft picks, the pieces that you look to package up and get even better. And we'll see.
It's tough, man, for RJ because it's tough because going into your fourth year, you'd want to see more added to your game, especially offensively. And the three-point shooting is taking a step back. Even though his finishing at the rim has slightly improved, especially from midway of February until now, he's shooting 60% around the rim. So that's an improvement for him. But when you look at his peers against other wings where he finishes, he's in the bottom percentile amongst all those shooting categories, right? And you need to say, where have you improved and can be lethal enough that I'm going to buy in and say, I will give you that leeway to improve, right? Mm-hmm. So he's awesome when it comes to driving downhill, drawing the contact, getting to the free throw line. He has improved his free throw shooting. So that gives me some sort of confidence that he can get a jumper going at some point. You just want to see it at a faster rate. And I don't know if it's because he didn't play a lot of basketball this offseason, as Fred Katz noted in his article earlier on in the year. But something's got to change for RJ. But I totally agree that he's probably got the most pressure to perform now. Like Julius has pressure. Like, don't get me wrong, Julius has pressure because you gotta show that. All right, it's cool they can do all this during the regular season. Playoffs, where you at? Yeah, because that's what it's all about.
Look, I think he's feeling it. I think that was a big part of the flare up between he and Obi on that bench, man. Even though they're friends, they're cool. I think it was the frustrations.
Talk about RJ, right?
Yeah, I think it's his frustrations with his own play, Obi's frustrations with his role, and I think the two just came to a head because they're cool, they're friends, they poly with each other. But I think the two just came to a head because both of them are kind of feeling the struggles. Obi with his playing time, RJ with his inconsistency, and I think it just came to a head and exploded in that quick second on the bench, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my guy, the Kid Mero is in the chat, the leader of Ball Bag Nation, man. Shout out to Mero, man. Shout out to my guy Mero. Funnily enough, I was gonna text you today, bro. I'm about to text you later on or tomorrow, bro. So shout out to the Kid Mero who's in the chat and vibing with the people tonight, man. Shout out to Mero, bro.
AKA the Plantain Supernova, as he goes by.
That's a fact. That's a fact. We're going to put some respect on his name tonight, man. So shout out to Mero. He says, get Jalen and let RJ lead the league in claps per game. I think he's talking about Jalen Brown. Man. That'd be a good pickup.
Jalen Brown.
That'd be a good pickup, man. Worst thing that happened was Mikal Bridges going to the Nets. You're never gonna get a chance. Never gonna have a chance at him.
Is that the worst thing, or is drafting Knox and missing out on Mikal Bridges the worst thing?
I try to get over that. I still can't get over that, but yeah, basically. And
I'm like that meme where I'm laying in bed and you have your wife, your girlfriend saying, "Oh, they're probably thinking about somebody else." And I'm just like, nah. Why did we have to draft Kevin Knox?
Right.
Over Mikal Bridges.
It's ridiculous, man. Speaking of Mikal Bridges, 27.6 points per game, 5 boards, damn near 3 assists, and 63.5 shooting percentage since he went to the Nets, bro. Crazy.
Some people just need an opportunity, CP. It's crazy that he was on Phoenix and they didn't even unleash that, right?
Yeah.
And that's always the fear of a team. It's like, okay, we have them. If they go to another team, it's like, we had that.
Yeah.
That honestly, that would be like my fear with like Quickly or Grimes.
Right. Well, I think it was a perfect combination for him. I think it's number one, being 5 years in the league. You know what I mean? So his experience is there, and now stepping out of the shadow of a Book and a CP3 to really be his guy. It's just everything coming together for him. You know what I mean? He came into the league. His floor is already high. 3-and-D. He's going to be that wing player, the ill wingspan. He could guard multiple positions and just be a pest defensively. But even at Nova, you kind of saw the potential in his game to do a little bit more. But I just think it's now that, he's in year 5. He's mature. He's built. He's built up, and now he's just ready to he's ready to go, man. For the New Jersey Nets. For the bum-ass Swamp Dragons. They got my man buried in Siberia. It's a damn shame. Shame, man. But anyway, we'll forget about them. They're not making the playoffs. I guess they'll be in the play-in. Okay. The CBA, ladies and gentlemen, the CBA. A couple things have come out in the CBA that are interesting. We're not going to nerd out in all the numbers and everything like that. But just a couple of things, right? In the CBA, the in-season tournament, Al, is a thing. Now, most of you heard that first by yours truly. I did drop that maybe even last year or earlier this year. I forgot. It was so long that I got that tidbit, then I dropped it on the chat. But the in-season tournament is happening. The full details have not been released. But they are doing a full in-season tournament, and the prize will be $500,000 for the winning team. It'll be played. The finals will be played on the neutral site, most likely Vegas. Your thoughts on the in-season tournament?
I like it. I think it changes it up, man. I think you have a long season as is, and you got to throw something in there to shake it all up. And maybe at some point, this is just it's like the gateway to reducing it from 82 to 72 games. You include a 1-game elimination tournament, midseason tournament. I'm all for it. Let's see. Let's get something to shake it up, because as of right now, it's very repetitive. 82 games, guys are missing out. Throw something in there that everyone will play for. That way you get all your best talent around the league competing. And I think that just to get all eyes on the NBA, which is what Adam Silver wants. How do we get more eyes on this product, right? As a business person, you're starting to see some ratings go down in certain areas. Like, how do we compete? Well, if you're going to have guys sitting out because it's too long of a season, now if you break it up and somewhere they can calculate saying, okay, for this right here, we got to be ready for, and everyone can just tune in and see whether it's Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle going off for the Knicks, right? Steph Curry, Klay Thompson going off for the Warriors. Now get KD, Chris Paul, Devin Booker for the Suns. All of them are playing in this tournament, 1-game elimination. I think that's a lot of pressure because, look, you and I are football fans. 1 game, do or die, a lot of pressure. I think it's good.
I think it's trash. I think it's trash, bro. But I agree with you when you said, the 82-game stretch, it's a drag, could get a little bit boring. And for that reason, it's why they want to bring that in, right? Because They want to appeal to the casual fan. They want to bring the casual fan and say, look, this is an exciting thing that's going on in the middle of an NBA season. And look, the players, obviously, for the CBA to be finalized, the players agreed to it. You get $500,000 a man. Okay, that's cool. But it's like, why would the players really care about that? You know what I'm saying? Like what would make the players say, well, you know, I'm gonna lay it all on the line. I got a bum ankle, I got a bum wrist, and I'm gonna lay it all on the line for this in-season tournament where I'm going up against the Pistons in the finals, when the ultimate prize is still the NBA championship. You get what I mean? Like,
I hear you.
Like, who cares if the Toronto Raptors win the Manscaped in-season tournament and then they don't even make the NBA playoffs?
Don't do that to Manscaped.
Shout out to Manscaped. Go out there and get your Manscaped. Promo code KFTV, 20% off plus free shipping. But who cares if the Toronto Raptors win it and then turn around and don't even make the NBA playoffs for the real deal? Like, you think Masai Ujiri and them are building a team to win the in-season tournament? You know what I mean? I think the problem is this. Couple things. It's never been done in sports. The reason it works in soccer or football, in the FA Cups and the Champions League and all of that, is because you can have your dream matchups from teams from different countries and your Ronaldos versus your Messis and all of that, because they never play in their respective leagues against each other. So you can have like your Bayern Munichs versus your Arsenals versus you know what I'm saying? The best of the best of the best. But like within a league, like who cares? Unless they really make it worth something. So I don't think that the $500,000 alone is worth playing for. I think they gotta raise the stakes in this thing, is what I'm saying.
They have to raise the stakes.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I like the concept though, where once again, I think they're trying to get ready for reducing the amount of games, because you have to have something there. You can't just say, all right, we're going from 82 to 72 and we're still going to have the NBA finals. Then you're kind of like, because at that point, as you know, money talks. ESPN's going to be like, wait a minute, you're cutting out 10 games. We're paying you for 82 games. So it's 72 games. What's that value worth? How do you know? How do we know that there's going to be an increase in viewership? So if you get a play-in tournament, you get what you're talking about, the casual eyes on it. I think you got to start out somewhere. You can't be like, all right, let's go, let's say $2 million grand total prize, because you don't even know how many people are going to be tuning in for this thing anyway. So you start out small. You know, this is not written in stone. You can always amend. It's a contract. You can always amend a contract. So I think it's a good idea just to break it up. I think if you're getting ready to break it down to 72 games and break out the monotony of the season, it's good. And then at that point, you're talking about you're not going to see those teams like you do in soccer, right? You get those dream matchups. If you're bringing it down to 72, are you going to be seeing every single conference? Are you going to be playing every team at least twice? Because if you're not playing anybody at all, then guess what? I do want to match up between the Rockets and the Pistons if I want to see a young upcoming team competing. Why not if you're an NBA aficionado?
Listen, man, if the Knicks go out there and win the prize picks mid-season tournament against the Charlotte Hornets.
I see what you're doing here, and I
I'm
appreciate
sorry,
that
man. Like, this will be a regular night on Knicks Fan TV.
But what about the Athletic Green tourney?
Well, yeah, that'll be fine too. You know, all fine products. I just think that I think they need to up the stakes. They need to just up the stakes a little bit, right? And maybe that it will evolve into that. I think it will evolve into that. Maybe it's like, you know, the winner gets a playoff spot guaranteed, or an extra draft pick or something like that. You know, we'll see.
Yeah,
but it's still interesting. What do you guys think in the chat? Here's another thing: players will now be allowed to own minority shares in teams. Your thoughts on that?
Sounds like a conflict of interest.
Now, it doesn't. They haven't specified, like, they haven't specified whether or not it's one player with direct ownership. Like it's not necessarily Steph Curry with direct ownership in the Knicks. They haven't specified that. Like, it could be maybe like how you would have like an index fund and like an ETF where you kind of have a group minority shares of the whole league or a group of teams. You get what I'm saying? They haven't really specified what type of ownership it would be.
Look, it's just, for me, it's just they're thinking of different ways to cut the pie to get these players more money in their pockets, having more invested into the league. You know, it's like getting stock options when you work for a company, right?
Yeah.
You want to then put your best foot forward because in the end, if the product gets better, that means theoretically you'll get more money in return, right? Doesn't always mean that way. You could be putting 110% effort every single night. Company don't go nowhere. But theoretically, it's like if you put forth your best foot forward, you will get more money in return. So I get that idea. I get that concept.
Yeah.
I think need more clarity on what is the ownership, because if it is like direct ownership, right? You're like not in a group saying, all right, Steph Curry now owns like 5% through some sort of indirect way of NBA team. How much decision making is included? Because you gotta have some.
No, it's minority.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's cool. I think it's a good idea. Obviously today's player is more and more entrepreneurial and enterprising, and they want to establish their brands and stuff like that. Depending on how they structure it, I think it could be a good idea. So we'll see how that works. Will it work against the cap? Will it count towards total salary? We'll see how that works. Players will now be able to invest in cannabis companies and gambling companies. Your thoughts on that?
Fine. I have no issue with that. Let everyone go. Stop stopping somebody from making money, man.
Yeah.
Don't limit where they can invest.
I think, as far as the cannabis companies, I think it's a great idea. Obviously, a lot of players get stoned. A lot of players invest in those companies. You have Al Harrington with Viola, a very big company. I think they just opened up a shop in Jersey. So Al Harrington has been on the prowl and advocating for that. And it was only a matter of time, with the NBA being a very liberal-leaning league, to get into that. And look, as a country, we're getting more and more liberal with the usage and legalization of marijuana. So it's only a matter of time. I think it's a great idea for players to get involved with that. The gambling thing could be very interesting, right? Because of, you just saw with Calvin Ridley in the NFL, got suspended for a whole year with a gambling issue, which I don't think he should have gotten suspended for. But, could you have conflicts of interest there with, if LeBron gets tied in with the DraftKings? I don't know. Could there be a potential conflict of interest? You already see now people looking at the refs these days kind of sideways with the decisions that they're making. I think the gambling thing might go a little sideways down the road. I think that could be a little problematic down the road. They're not allowed to promote it, but they're allowed to invest and get involved. Not allowed to promote it though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good. They can't bet either. So, right. So, if it's just investing and you're getting money back from your investment, that's fine. It'd be wild for. Can you imagine, like Steph saying, "Oh, look, I'm at 4.5. I am chucking today."
Steph Curry says, "Yo, I got more or less 4.5 3-pointers on PrizePicks.com. Use promo code KFTV for an instant deposit match of up to $100." And he's going for it.
Oh yeah, or he's either going for over or he's going for under. He's like, let's see, heat check. I'm feeling it tonight. We're going for 7.
Right. Yeah, I think that could be interesting, but again, good for the players to be able to get involved in that.
Start getting a parlay with Clay. All right, man, I got to get 8 assists and you got to knock them all down.
Yeah. To be considered for individual awards and all NBA awards, you have to play a minimum of 65 games.
Thank you.
Your thoughts?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Enough with this. I think it's good for that incentive to say, hey, play. Like, I think also for fans who want to see these primo matchups, right? Like, we didn't get Embiid and Jokic, and this is a way to say, look, you can't, have have this load management throughout the entire season, and then we were missing marquee matchups. That's also part of the NBA's product, right? Thursday night, you want to see that marquee matchup. You want to see Embiid go against Jokic. You want to see Tatum and Giannis go battle it out. That's what people are tuning in for, especially the casual fan, right? So I think it's a good way to keep players accountable to a certain degree, saying, look, you gotta if you want to get most improved, you gotta play 65 games minimum. You can't be in and out of the lineup. You know, if you're Kawhi Leonard, you want to hit your bonuses, right? Well, I gotta play 65 now. It's different. So I like the idea.
Yeah, I like it. Obviously, you know, with the load management being an issue, you know, you want to find ways to have players play more games. And look, the whole load management thing, you know, it's not a player issue. It's a science issue. It's a sports science issue with the teams and all the analytics that they're jumping into and how to keep players fresh for the postseason. It's more of a team thing to keep players from playing rather than the players just saying, well, I want to rest. I want to, you know, load manage. So, but still, I think it's a good way to, you know, to maintain continuity with the league. You ensure some of your marquee matchups, man, that players are matching up. You know, you didn't want to see an Embiid missing that second matchup against Jokic. You want to see him go head-to-head and square up, shoot the fair one, and see who is the real MVP. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is a good one to do. Now, it could get interesting because, you know, let's say like a Jaren Jackson. I don't think he's going to meet that 60. If let's say if that rule was imposed this year and a Jaren Jackson who's playing for a defensive player of the year, he might not, he wouldn't have made it because I don't even think he's going to make 65 games this year.
Well, my thing would be like the attorney side would say, it's nice that we have the rule, right? Like you must play 65 games to win award. Then it's always in the contract. What's the exception? What's the caveat? So it's like, if you have a legitimate injury, maybe they'll curtail that and say, all right, what's the maximum that you're able to play? And we'll balance that out. What's the consideration? What equation do you add in there to even it out? But I'm more curious to see what those exceptions are, just to say, all right, 65 games, like 65 games in theory is like, it's great. You want to see everyone play. You hope everyone's healthy, but what if, you know, Embiid had that one legitimate injury and it's 64 games? You only had 64 games because he had a legitimate injury that he could not bounce back for. And it's like, are you really going to punish a player who's playing at primo, like, and they miss one game? I think it's just a measuring stick of saying, all right, we're going to put 65. It's a clean, even number. And then let's see what goes from there.
Yeah. But what's also interesting is that from a financial incentive standpoint, you have a lot of guys who could now be eligible for the Supermax contract, right? Because let's say if an Embiid doesn't qualify for an All-NBA, or Jokic doesn't qualify for an NBA, or Giannis, or this guy, like I said, Jaren Jackson doesn't qualify for a Defensive Player of the Year, the guy whose bumps gets bumped up if they now meet the requirements for the Supermax, because the Supermax is how many years in the NBA do you have to be? You have to be 8th season or higher, right? And to get the Supermax, you have to make the All-NBA team in any of the 3 seasons, either immediately before signing the extension or 2 of the 3 seasons prior. That's All-NBA. So that could change. You could have a lot of new candidates now in consideration for a Supermax deal. So I think that's very interesting. I like that rule. I definitely like that rule. Now, how about a positionless All-NBA? That's another part of this collective bargaining agreement. Positionless All-NBA. Your thoughts on that?
Nasty.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I don't like it.
Not a fan.
What do you like 5 guards out there? That's not what team are you rostering?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like, I get it that it's if you want to modify it, go like, what's a pickup game? 8? Go 8.
Yeah.
I don't know. Go 8 deep. Go like playoff style. You got your 5, who are your 3 reserves if you want to add it in there for people who get excluded. I don't like removing the positions. I think that's a little too. You just open it up for just a mess for voters.
Yeah.
And so who like I said, what do you want? 5 guards? It's like, okay, guys, we're gonna go Jalen Brunson this year. We're gonna go De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, Trae Young, and DeJounte Murray. Let's just throw. It's like, are we really doing that? And I'm not saying those are the guys like I would want, but I'm just giving you some names. Like, that's what's really going to happen. Kyrie Irving, throw Kyrie in there, throw James Harden in there, throw anybody, and you're like, what's going on?
Right.
To me, I'm like, that's too much.
I don't like it, man. I don't like it because number one, in the history of the game, it's always been by position, right? It's almost like a fantasy team at the end of the day.
I think people have taken it too far where it's like we're playing positionless basketball. And it's like, to the extent where you don't need the point guard to keep bringing up the ball, but you still need, like, look, the Suns just made it with the most traditional team possible.
Right.
You look at the Bucks, it's still traditional. Like Giannis, Brook, like they're your 2 biggest guys out on the court, but you still need Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton. Like we're not too far off from having a traditional basketball team.
Yeah.
Look at the Knicks, traditional basketball team.
Yep. I don't think a player who shined in his respective position, like a Brunson, I don't think that player should be penalized because there is financial incentive for these guys, right? I don't think that player should be penalized because you had 4 big men who may have had overall better seasons. 2 way better seasons than he did, right? Like, you could have a situation where you have a Jokic and Embiid, a Giannis, a Sabonis on the first
to
team.
the extreme end, right?
You know what I'm saying? You could have that because those guys have been beasting. But I don't think you should penalize a guy that's been dominating or playing at a high level at his respective position to just go for the overall best players.
Yeah.
I don't like
and
that.
You talk about playing at their position, right? And that's kind of that's the measuring stick.
Yeah.
Is how did Jalen Brunson do against all the other guards? I'm not comparing how he did against Tatum. Mm-hmm. It's not realistic, but it's like, how did he compare versus De'Aaron Fox? How did he compare versus someone like Trae Young, James Harden, Kyrie Irving? I just don't know why you want to get rid of positions where positions are still needed today. It's like no one's fielding an all-star team. You could do the same thing for an all-star team? That'd be ridiculous.
Right. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that one. I'm definitely not a fan of that one. This one was kind of interesting, and we'll see if it ever impacts the Knicks. But you're now going to be able to have more than 2 Supermax slots on your roster. Meaning you can now have more than... So now you can have a guy who's on a Supermax contract. You can have a guy who's on a max rookie extension. And you can still get another player who may qualify for either one of those on your roster. Before, it was you can only have 2 slots. So remember when the Spider Mitchell trade was still being proposed. And even when like they might have proposed to send him to Brooklyn. Remember that they couldn't have, without Brooklyn having to trade Ben Simmons.
Yep.
Because Ben Simmons was a guy who was on that. I think he was on the. He was on which extension was he on? He was on the rookie max extension, and then they already had a supermax player in
Kevin
Durant, right? So they couldn't have gotten Donovan Mitchell because they would have to have traded a Ben Simmons. It's also happened in previous years when the Celtics had Kyrie Irving and they were trying to get Anthony Davis and they couldn't do that either. So now you're going to be able to have more than 2. So for instance, they point to the Cavaliers in their situation where you have both Garland and Mitchell coming on in the midst of their rookie max, and now Evan Mobley will be able to get his as well.
Yeah.
So,
and I like that. I like that you get to keep your team together. I don't think it's more so going out and getting that second star, even though the possibility is out there.
Yeah.
I mean, when we look at the league right now, it's still a lot of trying to maintain your own homegrown talent, and guys like Sexton, guys like Laurie, like who you had on your team. You have to weigh, for the Bulls, like, all right, do we want to keep this guy? Do we see him part of the future? If not, then we got to trade him. Right. And now you get to say, for like someone like the Knicks, it's talking about like Emmanuel quickly. All right, now we can have that slot to keep Quick, pay him, and we still keep this nucleus that we have going on here. So I like that move. I like it.
Yeah, I like it. And it seems like these measures are being made to continue to, number one, bring parity to the league, and also keep teams together. They want to keep teams together. They want to prevent the super teams, because another thing that they did was, so you had the luxury tax, right? If you went about $6 million over the salary cap, then you were in the luxury tax threshold, right? But now they've added a second apron where if you go above $17 million over the cap, now there's several things that you won't be able to do, such as you're going to lose a taxpayer mid-level exemption. This year, it was at $6 million per year. You will lose the use of cash in trade offers. You may be restricted from trading future picks down the road. Remember the 7 picks into the future? You would lose that. You wouldn't be able to participate in the buyout market, and among other things. So if you're looking at like how the Clippers are constructed right now, how the Warriors are constructed right now, those teams that are way over, now they're trying to handcuff you big time. That's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting, man.
I don't like it. Considering that we know Dolan can be that guy to spend.
Yeah.
I don't like it for that reason, but I also think from a competitive standpoint, if you have somebody who's willing to shell out money to keep a really good team together, like they shouldn't be so heavily penalized for being able to do so. So now you're telling me that, like, I get that you're trying to make this an even playing field for everyone, but you know what, OKC? You should have paid James Harden and got into the luxury tax to keep that team together. Like, why is now everyone else getting penalized for wanting to do something like that? Because some team like OKC, maybe Sacramento, isn't a franchise that's capable of doing that. Yeah. I feel like you just take away bargaining powers from teams, because instead of saying, all right, we got to match this guy's offer to keep him around here, now it's just kind of like, all right, now it's going back into the laps of the team. Like, a lot of teams can feel a little bit safer now. Like, who wants to be penalized not being able to trade a draft pick 7 years into the future? Like, maybe you do say that. Maybe say, hey, we really got something going on over here. We're willing to pay that. But I feel like if you have the cash to do it, and if you've profited over having a good team, because that's usually the case, right? That means you've had a good team for many years. You're really at that peak where you don't need to think about adding any more. We can just pay because we don't have that type of capital to begin with. Right. So why not keep it going?
Yeah, I don't like it, man. I don't like it. It's they've been trying to get a hard cap in here, kind of like the NFL, but I guess this is their way of trying to get close. But I don't see, like you said, why penalize teams for trying to make improvements when the other teams refuse to spend? The Rockets, like OKC, the OKCs of the world.
Like, OKC could have done it. They chose not to.
Yeah. Right.
So now you're saying we're going to, as you pointed out, like, we're going to cater to the people that don't versus the people that do.
I don't like that.
It's a little weird concept.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of that at all. But yeah, some strict penalties, man, for if you exceed that $17 million over the cap. Some strict penalties, man. Big time. So
as TM said, it's always when the Knicks are ready to compete, they change the rules.
That's always, man.
Hand checking? Whoa.
Yeah, right. Hand checking, you're wildin'. Slow down. We got to change the game up. We got to bring more offense into this. The Knicks are beating too many people up. we got to chill.
Now the Knicks are in the top 6 again. Whoa. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Dolan can't spend.
Yeah. And then, this one's a good one. It's instead of being able to extend a player in the first deal of their new deal up to 120% of the old one, they're now going to bump that number up to 140%. Where you can extend that player the first year of their deal, they can make up to 140% of the last deal. So I think in terms of, I think this is where the Knicks are concerned in terms of like a Randall, a Brunson, maybe even a Hart. I think that allows you to field or present a competitive offer to these guys who have opt-out clauses in the final years of their contract that'll be respectable before they hit the free agent market.
Yeah, I like that. I like that move because it's once again that goes with the same alignment of like, all right, we're trying to keep teams together. We don't want people just poaching another person's player because the salaries, it's like, let's say if it was, can't even think of a good example right now, but it's like, all right, what we're gonna pay like an extra $20 million. Where are they going? Right. If it's going from Dallas to New York, that extra $20 million, you're still getting taxed because you're living in New York.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? You're saying extra 40, something along those lines. Oh, extra 40.
Right.
It's a little different.
That's right. I mean, this is a situation that Jalen Brown is facing with the Celtics, right? Mm-hmm. Because he signed a below market deal. The most, if he doesn't make that All NBA, if this thing wasn't improved and he didn't make that All NBA team, if he doesn't make All NBA this year, which he put it in the hands of the voters, the most he'd be able to get in a contract extension with the Celtics will be a 4-year deal at $165 million a year. That'd be he'd only be able to get $36.9 million in the first year with an 8% annual raise from there. I mean, you got guys making high 40s, 50s, mid 50s.
You got guys making $250.
Yeah,
like on their contracts.
Right.
Yeah, I'd pay that for Jalen Brown in an instant.
Right. So essentially, he could leave in free agency and make more than what the Celtics could give him.
You said 165.
165. 4 years. 165.
Bro, you're paying him. What's RJ's contract? Like it's supposed to be like top out at 120.
120. That's 120.
Talk about another $40 million you get. Like that's a significant upgrade.
Yeah. Which is why he's been so non-committal with Boston, and saying all those things. He's very neutral right now. He's like, hey, if he lives, he lives. If he dies, he dies. He's ready to go. So that's the whole thing. Why they're saying if Jalen Brown does not get voted into an All-NBA team, where then he would thereby be eligible for a Supermax contract, where then he could get bumped up 35% into the team salary cap with the 8% raises. It wouldn't make sense for him to stay in Boston when his contract is up in 23 and 24. So now with this CBA, it's going from 120% to 140%. And so I think that's a good deal. That's a good deal for the players and for the teams that are trying to keep their teams together.
For sure. And then if you want to use that as the example, right? So what you say 165 in the Boston market, kind of similar to New York's tax range. You have, say, Dallas come out of nowhere, be like, we'll pay you whatever's close in the match to that, like 140. You keep most of it because of the taxes.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's a fact. That is a fact. So yeah, man. So some interesting things in this CBA. Hasn't been ratified yet, but pretty close. But I think on the flip side, You get an agreement where the two sides came together and got it done, man. We're looking at a situation where, you know, in the past few decades that we've been watching the sport, there have been lockouts. There have been shortened seasons because of it. Two sides are able to come together and get it done, man. So we'll see how it looks.
Refreshing.
Yeah.
Well, remember 2011.
That's right. 2011, 99. You know, it certainly happened, man. So we'll certainly see how it looks. We'll see how the Knicks look in the Manscaped in-season tournament when they take on the Kings for all the marbles, for all the lawnmower 4.0s that you can get, and $500,000.
And athletic greens to go with it.
And
the athletic greens you need.
Athletic greens to go with it, man. All right. So, anyway, great show, man. Great show, Al. Great show, everybody in the chat. Salute to. You know what? No, hang on. Now we got some people. Book on the Discord. Book. Let's go. Go ahead with your point. Books on the Discord. All right. I think we lost Books. Books going once on the Discord. Okay, we had them, but they're not there. So, yeah, back to what I was saying. Great show. If you guys haven't caught it already, catch up. Our Game of the Week preview, Knicks versus Pacers. Knicks will take on the Pacers twice this week. And, look, even though it's a game with nothing on the line, we had a great convo, Al. You know, let them know about the convo you had with Caitlin Cooper, man. Sharp mind in the game.
Sharp mind. She had an article written up on her recently, and look, it's like talking to a coach. So got to ask all the questions, break down the game. She came in with a perspective of, you know, really talking about sets that they're going to run, talk about the insightful articles that she wrote about. Look, she wrote an article about Tyrese Halliburton's jump passing and how it's impactful in the game, how they should keep relying on it. She wrote an article on Benedict Matherin's jab step. So she looks at the game through a true coach's lens. Really went into detail on this matchup. Highly recommend it. One of my favorite conversations possible. So make sure to check it out. Make sure to give her a follow. Truly a good basketball mind. A good basketball conversation, man. You know, the people want the content out. We here for the content. Look, number one show. You want to know how it's so good? Rick Carlisle reads her stuff. Tyrese Halliburton reads her stuff. Yeah. That's how you know. Yeah, big facts. That's how you know. Big facts, my guy. So, great show. Looking forward to a good week of Knicks hoops and Knicks versus Cavs, man. First round next week is going to be action-packed, so keep it locked. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the share button. And, lock in, man. Number one show for the fans by the fans. Remember that this show is presented by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. Use promo code KFTV for 20% off plus free shipping. And remember that this show is available in audio podcast format, man. All the major podcast platforms. So no reason to miss it. And we'll catch up with you guys tomorrow, man. Peace.